Welcome to Tetsu Talk MMA Top Talk, May 24th, 2018. A huge week for MMA, specifically for UFC. Once again, they do it. They break the barrier for the MMA world. I think last year or the year before, or 2 years ago, they made MMA legal in New York finally, whereas it was suspended, or sorry, not suspended, banned from New York, but they made it legal. This time they do it again. As everybody know, UFC has been on Fox Sports for a while now, for a couple of years now. That was kind of like breaking another barrier instead of being on just these very low channel networks. Fox was a huge way of going about saying that we are here and we are trying to grow. But for them to make the deal they made this week, actually they agreed to a 5-year deal with ESPN. Nothing against Fox Sports, but everybody know ESPN is the actual big dog of sports network. And for UFC to finally get that recognition by ESPN to say, okay, we want to take you on, is a huge deal. Reported by Sherdog, ESPN is going all in on Ultimate Fighting Championship. According to a report from Variety, ESPN has added UFC's television package to its deal, bringing the total cost of agreement to $1.5 billion, or approximately $300 million per year for 5 years. ESPN's confirmed the deal on Wednesday. So that was yesterday. They confirmed the deal. The deal will split the UFC contract between the Sports Cable Network's channel and its digital service, ESPN Plus, per the new deal. Wherever that means, I don't know what that exactly means. Gotta think that through. 30 UFC events will air on various ESPN platforms beginning in 2019. That includes 10 main cards on ESPN's television networks, as well as 20 on ESPN Plus, which is 5 more than originally expected. Additionally, ESPN networks will broadcast prelims for UFC's pay-per-view events in 2019. So pretty much so far what it sounds like they're doing the same thing Fox did. And well, I don't know if Spike did that when it was with Spike, but with Fox, I can't remember, it's so long ago. But I know Fox does the prelims, or Fox Sports does the prelims before the actual pay-per-view come on. So they're pretty much doing the same thing. ESPN would broadcast the prelims for UFC pay-per-views before pay-per-view is actually on for people to order. So it's pretty much the same thing. And Sherdog goes on to say, earlier this month, UFC announced an agreement worth a report 150 million annually that in 2019 would bring fight night events to ESPN Plus, along with Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series, UFC Fight Pass programming, and various other content. Oh, okay. Wow. I wonder how that works because, okay, the Tuesday Night Fight Contender thing, I think, was it on YouTube? I can't remember. So if they're doing that, I kind of understand that. If they bring Tuesday Night Contender to ESPN, it's like it's nothing. They're just switching over from YouTube to that, which I think it was on YouTube. I can't remember. But Fight Pass programming, I'm kind of confused about that because if it's Fight Pass, that means that what? I don't get it. Like Fight Pass is a separate thing you pay on. It's like an app. You watch various other MMA promotions as well. But for them to say Fight Pass will be included with the ESPN deal, I don't understand how that's going to work. I mean, I'm going to read on and see. Hopefully, they explain how this will work. So I don't think they will, but that's kind of confusing how Fight Pass app will actually be participating in broadcasting on ESPN as well. Just very weird. But anyway, continuing this article on Sherdog. Fox currently owns UFC TV rights, but that contract expires at the conclusion of 2018. The UFC Fox agreement, which began in 2011, oh damn, it's been that long. That's quite a while. I know it's quite a while. Was worth about 100 million annually, which is good, but compared to this ESPN deal, yeah, they murked Fox. Fox appears to have turned its focus to sports entertainment, as it reportedly will pay 205 million per year for rights to WWE SmackDown programming. That's true. Yeah, sorry, I kind of missed the two together. So yeah, that's true that Fox is now going into the wrestling business. So yeah, for sports entertainment, I guess value, Fox is no longer into the MMA category. So yeah, WWE has made a huge deal with Fox, and way more than what UFC was getting. So obviously, Fox feel like WWE is more profitable than UFC ever was. So, which I'm pretty sure is true. So I'm not gonna argue that. There's also more information on this whole deal with ESPN. It says that via Sherdog that the deal with hold on, it's the same thing. I'm sorry about that. Okay. Uh, it says in another article, I think it's probably today, in response to Dana White responding to the deal. I guess UFC will retain production control of live events with new ESPN deal. Um, a lot of people remember with Fox. Fox definitely. I think UFC had a little control over production, but Fox really had a lot of control, a majority of control of the production of UFC. They had Fox Music. They used their own, like, what is bigger events instead of like especially when it was actual on UFC on Fox. They had their own commentators and stuff like that. Not through the whole show, like during the fights, but as in, like, the people that introduce the actual commentators that's on the floor. I think I forgot his name. The guy that does the commentating for the hosting for NFL Sunday on Fox was the main guy that was on at the table. Unlike UFC FS1 show where Karen Bryant is actually MMA knowledgeable, and she's the host of that. I think the guy from NFL was not really a huge MMA fan. I think he does homework to, broadcast, be a better commentator for it or a host, but he was not really a fan. You could tell, like, he just did it for, the paycheck, and to have a Fox guy, in control of a Fox event, like on Fox. But so it goes on to say on Sherdog.com for this whole thing about Dana White saying that they retained their production. While the UFC will be moving to a new broadcast home in 2019, don't expect a drastic presentation when it transitions to ESPN. According to UFC President Dana White, the Las Vegas-based promotion will still have production control over its live events on the worldwide leader. The fans are happy with the way our show is presented, and the networks are too, which is why we get these deals done, said Dana White to ESPN's Brett Okamoto. Our production is incredible. We do an amazing job, and we'll continue to. On Wednesday, the UFC and ESPN made the deal official. Beginning in 2019, the promotion will show 20 events on ESPN and 10 on ESPN various cable networks. We already went through this before on the last article, so I'm not going to go through this. But it's pretty much the same thing I said before about the whole, breakdown of the deal and how it will work with all the stations of ESPN that they own. Yeah, all power to Dana White, all power to UFC for making this happen. I'm looking forward to see how ESPN, how it plays out on ESPN. Like, I wonder if I see MMA is already, people already know what MMA is, but I wonder with MMA being, co-signed by ESPN, will that give them more, fans? Will that, bring more, more money into to UFC, to MMA period? Because like I said, ESPN is a legit, the number one sports station, network, and I think it definitely will bring more fans to UFC and more fans to MMA. So I'm definitely intrigued to see how this play out. Only time can tell. But our next top talk of the day, Joe Rogan apparently on his podcast show was going in on CM Punk. Apparently, I haven't read the article, but it says CM Punk should be fighting an amateur event rather than UFC pay-per-view, said by Joe Rogan on his podcast show. Let's read this and I'll give my opinion about this. I actually know CM Punk. I used to, work on the road with CM Punk. He's working on the same card as me. Cool guy. A lot of people had their own opinion about CM Punk, personality wise. I never had an issue with him, but it is what it is. But let's read the article and see what Joe Rogan is talking about. Ultimate Fighting Championship welterweight Phil Brooks, better known as CM Punk, is set to take on Mike Jackson as part of the main card of UFC 225 on June 9th. In the decision to keep both fighters on the card over established fighters is not sitting well with Joe Rogan. Okay, I can see that. I can see how that makes sense. But you have a lot of prelims where you have good fights set up on prelims that should have been on the main card, which is I never understand either. But I can see it. Well, let me take that back. I understand why they do it. Is because give the prelims kind of like a main event fight, and then put other fights on there on the main card, which are probably either as good as the main or just not mediocre. So I can understand why they do that sometime, but let's see why Joe Rogan's upset about this, and I'll give my opinion. UFC color commentator Joe Rogan believes it's crazy the UFC still have this fight on the main card after a key heavyweight bout between Alistair Overeem versus Curtis Blaze was relegated to the prelims in favor of Megan Anderson and Holly Holm. Okay. Alistair Overeem, Curtis Blaze should be on main card, but it's not really necessary. You know what? I take that back. That should be on main card. Megan Anderson, who everybody, if you're an MMA fan, know, the girl that Cyborg been calling out for a long time and has not fought yet because of, I think, visa issues, whatever. She's from Australia. Is fighting Holly Holmes, which is a huge, debut by her, which is very interesting because I want to see how this girl can fight because she's very hyped up. Cyborg wants to fight her for some reason. Pretty much to beat her ass. Cyborg, I don't think Cyborg is really impressed. That's why Cyborg probably challenged her. But Cyborg fight anybody, I think. This fight, Megan Anderson versus Holly Holmes, it could be the main of the prelims. I don't see why it could not be. But I understand where Joe Rogan is going with this so far. Sherdog continues to say, Punk is a former World Wrestling Entertainment champion, had his first fight in the Octagon in September 2016 against the young prospect Mickey Gall. Punk was completely outclassed in the fight before Gall eventually locked in a rear choke and finished the fight in the opening round. Punk 0-1. Why they got to emphasize all that? Will now take one Jackson 0-1, who also lost to Gall via submission. So it's funny. At least they're making a story out of it. You got Punk 0-1, who got submitted by Gall. Then you got Mike Jackson. Okay, I did too much. Once is enough, right? I had to do it. Who was 0-1 against a loss against Mickey Gall by submission as well, is fighting Punk. It's cool. It's kind of cool to think about. Two guys that never won a fight and only had one fight and lost against the same guy at the same time as CM Punk. If he can't beat the guy that Mickey Gall beat too, it's funny. It's entertaining. I think if CM Punk win this fight, which he could, I mean, I got to look into this guy Mike Gall background. I'm pretty sure I will have my thoughts on this when we get to UFC 225 pay-per-view and I give my predictions. But it's so funny. It's so funny that they're doing this, but I feel whoever wins should fight Mickey Gall again. That'd be hella cool. That should be the stipulation, or not stipulation, but that should be the outcome of winning this fight. Rogan said on recent edition of his podcast that he understands Punk is here to help sell pay-per-view, but believes Punk and Jackson don't even deserve to be on Dana White's Contender Series. Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan. I know Joe Rogan is serious, but he's doing a stick. You know, he's a stand-up comedian, so I know he's throwing his jabs, but at the same time doing his whole stick. That's funny. He goes on to say it shouldn't even be on Tuesday night's Contender show. It should be in some amateur event somewhere. Seriously, it should. CM Punk should have went straight back to amateur, as Dana White said before after his first fight, but kind of weaseled out. I don't think weaseled out, but like Joe Rogan said, CM Punk is an attraction. Wrestling fans saw him lose before. I don't think they mind seeing him lose again or triumph this time. So he will sell tickets. He goes on to say, they're guys learning how to compete. They're in their first fight on a pay-per-view. That's fucking crazy. Well, that's fucking crazy. And he goes on, keep pretty much beating a dead horse on why he feels like they should not fight each other. I agree and disagree. From a business standpoint, it's kind of how WWE is doing Ronda Rousey. She's still green as a wrestler, but they having her wrestle one of the female champions because they know it'll sell tickets. They don't have anybody on their card that they feel confident in and selling tickets. Oh, sorry. I feel the same with this card. Not saying they don't have talent that can sell tickets, but to add on to the ticket sales, which probably be a huge amount added on, why not put CM Punk on the main card? Dana White was not interested in continuing CM Punk's career in the UFC, but obviously he brought him back not because he thought, okay, this kid probably could become something. It's because this kid makes money. And I feel Joe Rogan on what he's saying, but sorry. But I feel that Dana White is right and he's right. Saying CM Punk definitely should win back and started from scratch of learning how to fight guys at his level, as I think Joe Rogan stated before somewhere else, that will make him better and then he can progress and then fight somebody a little better than that level. But CM Punk is old as hell. I think he's even older than me, and to me, I feel like it's too late for him to actually even really have a career in MMA. Wrestling is different. It's kind of hard to wrestle too, but professional wrestling, you could be old and just probably get over somehow. MMA, it's not even about just really getting over. It's about actually be able to compete. And I think CM Punk missed that opportunity years ago when he probably had a chance to make a transition. Um, but yeah, I think it's just funny. Joe Rogan pretty much throwing shots at him. But if Joe Rogan is actually is calling that fight, how odd is it going to be when CM Punk passes by the octagon to enter the octagon and Joe Rogan's right there after he said all this shit. But it is what it is. Um, that I think it's very hilarious that a lot of people who are other Joe Rogans are probably pretty much just uh, talking shit about CM Punk and why he should be on the card or why is he even fighting. But like I said, at the end of the day, business matters to Dana White or any businessman. So that's why he's on the card. I agree with Joe Rogan, but uh, maybe after this, either he quit if he lose or he goes to amateur and start from scratch, which he probably won't be ready till he's like 45 and shit. But it is what it is. So my main story of the evening is GSP. Speaking of Joe Rogan, GSP was on Joe Rogan's show, and this is how this all came about. Where GSP made some comments that got a lot of MMA fans hyped or wondering if it's a possibility what he said can come true. The funny thing about it is that I think he kind of crushed Dana White's plans of trying to get him to fight Nate Diaz. GSP, let me read what GSP said first on Sherdog, courtesy of Sherdog.com. While Dana White had designs on adding George St. Pierre versus Nate Diaz to his idea UFC 227 card, it appears that neither fighter is much interested in the booking. Okay. Diaz made his feelings clear recently to MMAJunkie.com, and George St. Pierre did the same in an interview with ESPN.com on Wednesday. There was a rumor about me fighting Nate Diaz, GSP says. However, it's not true. I never agreed to that. Nate is. I love how Dana White is constantly like booking these fights or fights for GSP when he knows damn well GSP is not that type of fighter that you say he's going to do something, he's going to do it. His last fight, for everybody know if you're an MMA fan, he fought for the welterweight title. He moved up he fought for the middleweight title. He moved up from his weight class, welterweight, and fought for the middleweight title. And he beat Michael Bisping for the title. But instead of, started his own reign as middleweight champion, he vacated the title. His only goal was really to add another, notch under his belt, as in being a two times, a two division champion. So I think from what is said here, I think he's still under contract with UFC, so he still got fights. He needs to clear off his contract before he calls it quits again or retirement. But it goes on to say Diaz made his feelings clear recently to MMAJunkie.com, and George St. Pierre did the same in an interview with ESPN on Wednesday. There's rumors about me fighting Nate Diaz. However, it's not true, said George St. Pierre. I never agreed to that. Nate is an excellent fighter, but I have nothing to gain by fighting him. And I think ever since Nate got that check with McGregor, he feels the same. His whole focus is probably to fight McGregor to put himself, in better financial situation other than what he is right now. Even though he had those two fights that made, probably no doubt the most money he ever made in fighting. Um, I think this is GSP. I think this GSP goes on to say, if I were to dominate him, people will say I'm a bully. Uh, if it's a competitive fight, I will be criticized because they will say I should have destroyed him. There is no way to look good in this fight. Okay. Diaz has struggled against dominant wrestlers in the past, and St. Pierre is addition is sorry St. Pierre in addition to being that has competed only at welterweight and once at middleweight in octagon. Uh, TriStar Gym standout captured the 185-pound title, which is middleweight, when with a win over Michael Brisbane this past November, and then vacated the belt due to issues with what colitis. Um, so I thought he vacated it just out of the blue, but I guess he was ill or something like that. So, but I doubt it. I think I call bullshit. Or he probably had the condition beforehand and wait to the fight after the fight to go ahead and claim he has no reason to fight no more. But anyway, in the meantime, Khabib Nurmagomedov has assumed the lightweight throne in the promotion and called out GSP following his title clinching victory against Al-Qaeda at UFC 223 in April. I didn't know that. I don't know if he did that after the interview or what, but well, um, if Nurmagomedov eventually squares off with former 155-pound champ Conor McGregor, St. Pierre would be much more interested in facing the winner of that fight. For me, that is the much better fight, GSP said. It's much tougher fight. It's more of a win-win situation. If I was driven by money, I would take the Nate Diaz fight, but I'm not obsessed with money. Of course, that would make money because he is a big name, but I don't know about that. He's big a little bit. He's a little more big because he fought McGregor in those two fights, but he's not that big of a name. But anyway, GSP goes on to say, but even though I believe I am a very bad matchup for him right now, that's the easiest fight I can take. I want to fight for legacy. So apparently GSP wants a legacy fight. I mean, if you feel like Nate Diaz is not competition, and it will come off like he just uh, you know clowning and beating up on somebody that's less skilled than him. For him to say he want to fight Khabib is huge. For Khabib to say he want to fight GSP, that's huge. Um, I would love to see them two fight. I would love to see him or I heard another article. GSP actually claimed he wants the winner of Conor McGregor and Khabib. So that being said, I like to watch any of those fights. Any of those fighters fight GSP next. I think Khabib has a better chance. I think the only reason GSP challenged Khabib because I think he has better wrestling than Khabib, but I doubt it. I think GSP grappling is amazing, but I think if he fought Khabib, I think he'd get a very, very, very quick rude awakening on how much his wrestling is not as strong as he think it is. If he fights McGregor, I'd love to see that fight too. But I think he'll knock McGregor out. I think he actually finished McGregor. I think that'd be a very interesting fight to see. But is he willing for them to fight catch weight, or is he willing for them to willing to go down, which I know would probably be hard for him, 155 or them come up. I can see, I definitely can see Conor. He can go up at 160, 170 catch weight, and as far as Khabib, I haven't seen him try to cut weight. I mean, or gain weight like that. I think he's a big guy, so I think he already has that muscle or mass on him to actually don't have to cut that much weight to make that weight. So it all depends. I mean, obviously Khabib is very interested in the fight itself. So I can see him definitely, uh, going up weight class just to fight GSP. That'd be very, very interesting. Interesting. Um, but as far as GSP as trying to hold down his legacy, I respect what he's trying to do, but I feel like it was kind of dirty how he went to that fight and knowing knowing his what he was planning on doing if he won that fight, and he did it anyway. To know that you was planning to win the fight and just to hold the belt, to say that you won two divisions like Conor McGregor, and to leave it hanging in the ball in somebody else's court to hold down the welterweight division, or I'm sorry, or middleweight division, is jacked up. Um, he's the reason all this stuff been going on in the last couple of months with all these middleweights is to define who's the rightful owner of the welterweight title. Same with lightweight title. It's so many guys that's involved now, but I thought it was shitty at what he did with that. This right here, I respect what he's trying to do, so I have nothing against that. But as far as it comes to him, you know, taking titles as a trophy and not wanting to defend them, I'm not down with that. But please leave your comments below. Let me know what you guys think about this GSP thing. All the other stories as well. Doesn't matter, but GSP thing, I want to know what you guys actually think about it as well, and definitely. But yeah, as you see, I'm tired. But I had to come over here and do a top talk. I probably won't do one tomorrow. I don't think it probably won't be no news tomorrow anyway. But even if it is, I probably do one or not. But more likely, I probably won't do one. Like I said, I got a weekend coming up that I need to get ready to get out of here for the weekend. But anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. And as always, people, please keep it testing.